Welcome to today's webinar. This webinar is Smartflow for DVIX training. My name is Bill Connor and I'll be your trainer for today. Today we'll be using a live today's vehicle page, a tablet, and I'll be taking some polls along the way to make sure that you're understanding and following right along with me. There'll also be a live moderator here to answer your questions as you go along, and we highly encourage you to ask them questions by chatting them in. If your chat box isn't open already, if you hold down the Alt key and hit the letter H, it will open right up for you. There's a few things you're going to need to get the most out of today's training, and that is to have your today's vehicle page open. If you haven't already created a test vehicle as you're instructed, have your point of sale open where you can create the vehicle. A tablet with your Smartflow app open, logged into your shop, and assigned to the technician of your choice. You'll be using this to create a mock inspection before we finish. So what I'd like to do is launch the first poll of the day and have you guys respond and let me know, have you watched the technician tablet training video? And do you have your tools ready to move forward? I'll pause just a few seconds here to let you fill out that poll. So there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to learn to share with your staff right after you finish this training today. So how a work order in a point of sale or your management system shows up in the technician view for you to process. How to perform an inspection. How to get your staff to work together as a team to inspire the customer to open their wallet. How to edit pictures that get approvals. How to get the inspection results to the customer at the proper time and what that time is. So basically, you want to control all the content and the time it reaches the customer so the customer doesn't have to go anywhere else and they call you when it's the most appropriate time. And you're going to be in control. How the tech and the service writer communicate with each other internally in the shop where it's all documented for the every now and then when things go wrong, we can track back and find out who needs to be re-educated, and how to monitor your success. So what I want to do is make sure before we go forward that everybody has got a test vehicle ready to work with. I'm going to chat this information into the chat, and I highly encourage you, if you haven't created a vehicle already, to copy that VIN number and create the customer blue steel. Use your own cell phone number, create at least a labor line for the inspection, and then I would highly encourage you to create maybe an oil change line and a tire rotation line also. And do not assign it to a technician in your management system. Make sure that it is not an appointment and it is not an estimate, that it's actually a repair order ready to process. So I'm going to launch another poll so you can respond and let me know you're ready to move forward. And please let me know when you create this vehicle. It should take 1 minute or less. So by now, everybody shows to have their test vehicle ready. Now what we want to do is proceed over to using the tools that we have at our disposal. So the first thing I'm going to do is send you to your today's vehicle page. I'm going to have you click on the 3 black bars on the top left. It's a hamburger menu, and make sure everybody starts out on the technician view. So let me bring up a live shop. Now we have our live shop. I'd also like to encourage you, if you haven't already done this, set this view up for your shop. So in this case, I'm going to edit this shop just a little bit. I'm going to change it to column count of 5. I'm going to go ahead and put the technicians in order I want them to be on. And then what I'm going to do is save this so it would be available on any terminal in the building for any service advisor. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to give this a new name. And I'm going to call it demo for right now because I'm going to go back and delete it later on. And when you get ready to delete something, if you're no longer using it, if you click this again, highlight the one you want to delete, and then come over here and press delete, and then save. Matter of fact, I'm going to delete this now because I've got it set up the way I want it anyways. And then I'm going to close this box. So let me switch back over. So basically, I wanted to make sure that everybody knows how to save their preset. And when you got a lot of technicians, that's a great way to keep them in the same order so any service writer can walk up to any terminal. The next thing we want to do is define some of the things that we see on the screen when we have a repair order open. And on the bottom of the tile, when the tile is expanded, what you're going to see is the current workflow step that it's in. Over on the top right hand or top left hand corner, until an inspection has been done, what you're going to see is gear. After the inspection's been started, what you're going to see is a magnifying glass here. So this is a great visual of what's going on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to Live Shop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these tiles and expand it so you can see what we're going on. So here we've got a tile that's open. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on the wrench icon so I can give you an idea of the information you have there. So what you're going to have initially is you're going to have the repair order here with the negotiated time between the service writer and the customer. You're going to see the labor description, and you're going to see any parts that are associated underneath it. This red X here means that it's a service that's been declined or deferred. This means that this is a job that's 3/4 of the way done, and so on. Also, in the same area, what you're going to see is service history. When you click on the service history tab, you're going to see a list of all the times the repair order has been in the shop. You're also going to see links to prior inspections if they've had prior inspections done. And when you click on this, if they had any internal communication, you can see the check communication between the tech and the service advisor. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to see OEM recommendations based on either the indicator on the dash or if it's a time and odometer base. And then the service writer can click on these and understand what service needs to be done. And it goes in its own private area on the bottom of the inspection results. And bear in mind the technician has the same ability to do this on their tablet. We're not going to cover the inspection reports right now because we're going to go over that in depth a little bit later. But I am going to move over to TSBs and recalls. What this does is it gives the service writer and the technician a great way to go ahead and tap on any open recall that you verify is truly open, not every recall that could possibly be open for a group of vehicles, and any TSB that might apply to the service that you have it in for today. Next over here is going to be the vehicle event log. This will tell you every workflow step and every bit of information as the vehicle goes through the shop, and we're not going to spend much time on it here today. I'd also like to point out to you this bar over here, when you expand it, is going to give you an overview of the vehicle tile along with the same information that you would use if you were looking at the today's vehicle page with the work order not up, and then you have the ability to collapse it. Next up on the list of things here is the promised day and time. And again, what this is for is initially it's going to be pushed out from your management system. And then when the time gets very close, you're going to have this nice yellow triangle on the top edge here. When that yellow triangle comes up, that means the service writer needs to address something that's going on, so that way the customer is not disappointed. So what I'm going to do is on this one, I'm just going to go ahead and see. When I hover over it, it's going to give me the information about what's going on. And again, hover is going to be your friend. When you're working on a tile and it's collapsed, it'll be expanded when it's open on a technician's tablet. When it's collapsed, any place on the lower edge of the tile, you can expand and collapse it. But in this case, we're going to move over here. So I wanted to go ahead and click on the link for the promise time. And what we want to do is we want to move this over into a different time and then click apply so that we can just show you that it will change back. So really, a service writer's job should be, if they're monitoring and doing everything properly, is there should not be any yellow triangles on any tile on the screen, because that means some type of promise time has been missed. Next up on the screen is the billed and approved hours. And so what this means is this top number here is the amount of hours that's been negotiated and approved between the customer and the service writer. And this lower number is the amount of hours that the technician has marked completed on this repair order so far today. So this is a great way. Let's say in this example, this had 10 hours on the top and the technician had completed 9.5. This is a great way for the service writer to know to have the next repair order up, ready, and staged, so that technician can go right from one repair order to the next, so we can all maximize our inventory and help everybody have a winning day. On the top left-hand corner of the tile, you're going to see this green car icon. Sometimes it's going to be flashing in red, and if it is, that means the service writer has the ability to, or more importantly, the technician to further identify, based on the VIN number, the body style and trim level of a vehicle. So we couldn't decode it by VIN, and you have the ability to go ahead and finish it off. So it's red and flashing. Encourage your technician to do it. And on his tablet, it'll say, please select information. And here it'll be red and flashing. This black circle with the number 1 in it is always going to be the total number of jobs open on this repair order. On the other hand, this red number over here is going to be the number of jobs open for this technician. So it's very common these days for this number here to be lower than this number, because repair orders can be dispatched among many technicians, and we want to make sure that we know not to call the customer before we get the green check mark in this box. So you should see the tile dim, you should get a big green check mark, and then you should also look over here to make sure you got a green check mark also. The special markers and ultimate markers are a great visual to understand fully and completely what's going on. I'm going to move over to a test shop just to show you how to configure them. So in this case, you can tap on any one of these icons here, or the marker with a circle and a plus sign in the center. You got 3 of them, and there's 3 markers you can use for your shop. To configure them, what you do is click on the number position that you want to configure, and then you come down in here and find the marker you want to add. So in this case, I'm going to say this is a waiter customer, and I'm going to come in here and highlight it, and I'm going to say that we told the customer they'd be done in 60 minutes or less. I'm going to come in here and configure the next one, and let's see what we have down here. Let's go down into the parts category, and let's go ahead and say that the parts are expected to be delivered in, and we're going to say 15 minutes. And we're going to try and find one more here in our example. What I'm looking for is a technician alert. And this is a really great one to use. When you click on this square here, it's going to make this persist across all visits. And I'm going to come in here and configure the tech alert and say, do not So this is a message we want to make sure that we don't go ahead and have the technician waste any time having to put this back on at their own expense for not following directions. And we want this to persist across all visits until the customer pays us or gets their window fixed somewhere. And then you'll see they apply here, and they're going to go to the technician's tablet also. The great thing about these countdown timers is they're going to count down, and then they're going to start flashing when that time is met or exceeded, and then they're going to start counting up so you can see how badly you missed the target, if you missed the target. Just to the left of the customer's name, you're going to see an icon there, and it's going to either look like an eyeball or it's going to look like a little text message envelope, and it may or may not have a green check mark in it. If the green check mark isn't there, that means that you've sent the customer that type of message and the customer hasn't responded to it. So in this case, when there's a green check mark, you can see that not only was the message sent, you can see the customer opened it up and did something with it. So the great thing about this is if a customer has been in your shop before and the last message you sent for them wasn't open, this is a great place to reinforce with them that we are a digital shop, we communicate digitally. Would you please watch for these to come on your device? So let's move over and set up our tablets properly now so we can all follow along. And to set up your tablet, what I'd like you to do is follow along with me and make sure that we've got all the tools turned on properly. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to tap on the double gears. And I want to look over on the right-hand side of the screen and I want to find out where it says audible alerts turned off. and I want to tap on that. I want to go in there and I want to make sure it's turned on for at least 10 seconds. I want to move to the next line down and I want to open that drop down. And I want to make sure that every tablet in your shop is configured for a different tone so that way your technicians don't all go running for their tablet when they hear their tone. And you'll get a little alert letting you know how that's going to sound. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that your tablet is assigned to only one technician. So I'm going to tap on it where it says Assign Technician, and I'm going to choose Jesse in this case. I'm going to tap off to the side. I'm going to hit the back button. I'm going to click OK to confirm. And I'm going to be back on my main screen. And I'd like you to respond to the poll and let me know that you have your tablet set up like this and we can proceed. Next thing we want to do is dispatch using our Live Today's Vehicle page. And what we're simply going to do is we're going to take the tablet or the tile from the No Tech column and we're going to drag it over onto the column of the technician that we want to work on, and we're going to release it in the position that we want it to be worked on. So in this case, we're going to move over to the live shop, and we're going to move it over and give it to our technician and put it in a number 1 priority spot. I'm going to hold down the left mouse button. I'm going to drag it over into the column that I want to be worked on. In this case, I'm just going to drop it anywhere. It's going to automatically default to the technician on that column. I can come down here and I can configure these individually if I want to, or just leave it on the default technician. But if you're going to split a repair order, that's a great way to do it. And anything that the pink check mark is in this box is supposed to be ready for the technician to work on. So if something snuck through there that's not supposed to, simply removing it, the checkbox will make it where it doesn't go through. And then I'm going to click Apply. And let's go ahead, and while we're waiting, let's move it all the way to the top. And if everything worked properly, you should have got a audible alert and a message up there. And what I'd like to do is launch another poll and make sure that everybody is got the same result. Excellent. Looks like everybody's got the tone. I'd also like you to look in the center of that screen, and you'll also see that there is a message there. So if the technician was away from their tablet and they come back, they're going to have a nice message there letting know that something happened while they're gone. So let's move a little bit farther. And what we want to do is start out by making sure that everybody knows that there's a picture right in the center of the tile on the active screen that's called the profile picture. And if this isn't already the picture of the vehicle's car that you're working on, the technician needs to go ahead and snap a picture of it because it's going to be used on the inspection results. And later on, shops that use retention, it's going to be used on reminders that go to the customer. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the camera icon on the top left-hand side of the page. So what I want to do is I want to move over here and let's go through the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap to dismiss the message. I'm going to go over to my Mini Cooper and up on the top left-hand side of the tile, I'm going to tap on the camera icon. And when the camera opens, I'm going to tell it to allow access if you haven't already had it allow access. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the vehicle and take a picture. And I'm going to let it go ahead and swap out on the tile itself. And you can see here that it's swapped out. So what I'd like you to do, if you would, is spend just a few seconds and go ahead and take the profile picture on your tablet for your little Mini. And then if you would, respond to the poll and let me know you're done and ready to move on. Now what we want to do from here is we want to open the tablet and we want to start working through an inspection. So when you first open your tablet, you're going to notice a couple different things. You're going to notice that the first time it's open, it's going to be black background with white letters on it. This is letting the technician know that he hasn't observed that job before, or something's changed since he last looked at it, and it draws their attention right to it. When they tap on this with their finger, when they read it, basically it's going to invert, and they'll know that they've actually went through and read it. This top center here, where I just highlighted, is going to be the default inspection for your shop. In this case, it's called a vehicle health inspection, but yours may be different. But for today, whatever default inspection that we have is what you're going to use when you create your mock inspection. And if you have multiple inspection sheets for your shop available, they can be opened up by clicking on this drop-down box. So what we want to do first now is we want to define some of the things you're going to see on your screen before we go live. So I'm going to get my tablet out of the way. And when you look at your open inspection sheets, you're going to see it broken down into logical areas. And this area I've got highlighted here is broken down into 5 different areas. So you can have up to 5 different areas configured on an inspection sheet with up to 50 topics per, and it's very unusual for somebody to have that many topics, but that's the limitations. The next thing we want to do is we want to look at the topic itself. So this is what the technician is supposed to be looking at and making determination on. They're going to start from the left-hand side, and on the leftmost column, this is going to be what they're supposed to be looking at. So in this case, they're looking at fluid and moisture content. The next thing they're going to do is look at the conditions to go ahead and choose the condition that best matches what they're seeing with their eyeballs. And when they choose this condition, it's automatically going to go ahead and drive the status of either good, future, or fail. And that's going to be an automatic setting, but the technician can override it if they have to. And then what they're going to do is choose in this 4th column what they want to do about it. So this is going to be the actual job that they would select to solve whatever condition they see. We want to make sure they always know to start from left to right going across here. The next thing we want to define is this here that's a notepad. This is where the technician can add notes, both internal and customer-facing notes. And you can see that orange circle with the number 1 in it. That lets them know that there's also one picture has been taken on this that they have accessibility to, so they go back and review. You likely won't see this icon now or for a while, but when a customer comes in on future visits, if you've already used a canned job or a service package and recommended it in the past, then it's going to show up and they can click on this and it will expand and you can see the last time it was recommended, the last date and mileage it was recommended, or the last date and mileage the job was actually performed. So this is just-in-time information for the technician right where they need it. The next icon there is going to be the camera we use. In this case, you've got a green circle on it with a number 1. That lets you know at a glance that there's been one picture taken here also. When you have an icon like this, you see that instead of the regular clipboard, it's got a green background with a check mark on it. This lets you know that notes have been taken on this either for internal or the customer also. So again, a lot of things at a glance. Also, I'd like to draw your attention up here for the technician. This is a great way if they're bouncing back and forth from tab to tab so they can see how many topics have been completed. So you can see in this case, 0 of 8 topics have been completed. And if you look over on the other side, you can see 8 of 8 topics have been completed. So this is a great way for a technician to save some time. So what I want to do now is I want to move over and bring my tablet up, and let's start going through and making our mock inspection so that way you can follow along. I'm going to tuck this up in the corner, or I'm going to try and tuck it up in the corner. So what we want to do now is we want to open the tablet up and proceed. And we've already taken the profile picture so you know that this is a hotspot. I'd also like you to know this is a hotspot, so if you tap on this, it's going to open up and get the VIN scanner, or if it was a red bar, it might tell you to scan the VIN, or it might tell you to decode the VIN to right down to the trim level, And this one right here where it says ODO, odometer, that will let you tap on it and open and enter the mileage. So the best practice is the technician should always go ahead and work from left to right on their tablet. This is the priority order that matches the service writer's today's vehicle page exactly. Service writer arranges from top down, just like they used in a paper rack, and the technician's job is to work on it from left to right. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and click where it says Open Vehicle. So again, now that we're on a live tablet, you can go ahead and see the information that we were talking about earlier. This is on the repair order screen. And what we want to do now is we want to move over and we want to choose our default inspection. But before we do that, let's just tap on a few things here. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to tap on service history. So you can see if the customer had been here before, the service history would be right here on this side of the screen. The OEM recommendations are over here. If the technician taps on it, he can choose the ones and they would go ahead and work just like the Service Advisors tab. I'm going to tap where it says Recalls and TSBs. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, they're available for the technician to tap anything that applies to this vehicle. And also under Service History, you can see that we've got recommended jobs. And what that would be is jobs that were recommended from prior visits. So again, the technician could use that to go ahead and know when to look at things extra closely. So in this case, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to choose the vehicle health inspection or whatever your default inspection is, and we're going to start going through and doing our mock inspection. So bear in mind what we covered earlier. The technician's job is to work from left to right. So what I want to do in this case is I want to go through here. In a bunch of these jobs, I'm just going to go ahead and mark them good. And to do that, all I have to do is tap on them on this left-hand column, and it's automatically to go ahead and mark them no issues. So body is going to be no issues, cranking's no issues, lights are no issues. Now this vehicle doesn't have a clutch on it because it's an automatic, so I'm going to ignore that topic completely. I'm not even going to touch it. It's shifting fine, engine performance good, chassis. So all these things are good. You can see in this shop, they've also marked a lot of these things where they're required topics, so that's what this red mark is over here next to it. This is saying that this thing has to be completed and answered before it will let them submit. So again, I'm going to follow the best practices that this shop's laid out for. Right now, I'm going to move over to in-car, and I'm going to go ahead and, in my case, I'm going to tap these things passing because my demo car, I know I'm required to have these things marked done. I want to go over under hood, and now what I want to do is I want to do something different. So on the engine oil, I'm going to mark that good. On the coolant, I'm going to mark it good. Transmission fluid, I'm going to mark it good. Power steering good. Now on brake fluid, what we want to do is we want to show that it's a fail, so I'm going to say excessive moisture content. I'm going to tap off to the side. And you can see now that it's automatically marked this as a fail. And because they had their inspection sheets set up properly, it also said not only did it fail, we recommend to do a fluid exchange. And again, bear in mind the technician can tap that and override it. So in your case, your sheet probably isn't set up for that, so I'd like you to tap on it and make sure you choose a brake fluid exchange. The next thing I want you to do is move over and tap on the camera icon all the way over to the right on the brake fluid topic line. I would like you to take a picture of what I have on the screen here. When you tap in the center of the screen where the picture is, that's where it's going to focus on. Tap the camera button. And now what I want you to do is I want you to take your thumb and tap on the red arrow down along the lower edge. And I want you to drag that arrow over to point right at the fluid level. And then take your finger and touch the arrow on the other end where it's got the round circle on it and rotate that in a direction where you can see what's going on. The next thing I want you to do is tap on the little tablet just to the right of the arrow, and I would like you to define what this means to the customer. I'm going to use the voice to text by tapping on the microphone down on the bottom corner of the tablet. And I'm going to speak slowly and clearly, kind of like a robot would, so it actually does a really good job here. The brake fluid is low. This is normally an indication of pad wear or a leak. services suggested. I'm going to then tap OK. I'm going to move over to the right-hand side where it says Upload and press the Upload button. And now I've finished my first picture. I want to move over and I want to take one more picture on the brake fluid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap that camera icon one more time on the same line. I'm going to take the picture of this nice tool here that's defining exactly what goes on. I'm going to take my arrow, tap it again. I'm going to take the point of it and put it over there by the color indication. I'm going to rotate it around. And now I'm going to go ahead and use the text button down just to the right of the red arrow. And I'm going to define this in a similar fashion. The arrow is pointing directly to a test strip, and you can clearly see the color matches the failed condition on the tube. And I'm going to hit OK for right now. We're not going to worry about the spelling right now, but if you speak slowly and clearly, the tablet does a great job. And I'm going to click Upload. And what I'd like you to do is respond to the poll and let me know that you've finished these pictures. Next thing we want to do on this topic is we want to define the notes and how to use this. So what we're going to do is on the top area on the tablet, what you're going to see is this area that's called internal only, or for shop eyes only. Notes that are in this area will never be seen by the customer. Notes that would go in this are special notes about the topic that you're talking about, perhaps a part list, or an estimated time to do the job. Underneath it, you're going to see another area, and this is customer-facing notes, and we want to make these notes very, very simple for the non-technical customer. So I'm going to move over to the live tablet again, and I'm going to tap on the note area, which now you can see has got two pictures in it, and I'm going to tap on the note area on this topic line, and I'm going to enter some notes. So I'm going to touch in the top area where it says for shop eyes only. I'm going to tap on the microphone below, and then I'm going to use voice to text to enter some notes. The brake fluid is very dark. New paragraph. 2 bottles of .4 brake fluid. New line. 1 can of brake cleaner. New paragraph. Estimated time 0.8. Now what I'm going to do is tap into customer area, and I'm going to put a customer friendly note. The fluid is dark. It should be serviced. This will prevent corrosion damage from affecting your inside of the brake system and some very expensive components. So again, that's just a customer-friendly type note. And I'm going to press OK. And now if you would, enter the similar type note that we just did there, and respond to the poll and let me know you finished so we can move on. Now what we want to do is we want to move down to the next topic. So I want to, on this one, I'm going to tap my windshield washer fluids good. And on my drive belt, I'm going to go ahead and tap on select condition. I'm going to go ahead and say that the belt is glazed. And I'm going to say that it's loose also. And then I'm going to tap off to the side. So you can see here that it's automatically marked it a fail. And this time it didn't select an action, so I'm going to tap it with my finger. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say I want to replace the serpentine belt. And I also know the tensioner was making some noise, so I want to replace the tensioner. So I'm going to go down there and find the belt tensioner and idler assembly. And I'm going to tap off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to take the picture that associates with it. I'm going to take the picture that's associated with it. So there's my nice belt tool in there. I'm going to let it focus on it. I snap a shot. I'm going to take my digital finger and point it right to the area of the belt that's affected. I'm going to rotate it around to where it's pointing in the right direction. And now I'm going to use the notepad to define what I'm seeing to the customer. This belt is severely glazed. This belt is severely glazed and needs to be replaced. And I'm going to hit upload. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take one more picture. And in this case, it might have been better to take a video, but I don't have a video in my office. I'm going to point directly to the pulley on the tensioner, and I'm going to add my note. The tensioner is bouncing, making noise, and the pulley is wobbling. It may likely derail the belt at some point and leave you stranded. And then click upload. So what I'd like you to do is make sure that you've got the pictures exactly like we had there, and then respond to the poll here and let me know that you're ready to move on. And in my case, while you're doing that, I'm going to give you just a few minutes to respond. I'm going to come in here and tap the rest of these topics so that I can submit it when we're finished. And what I was doing is looking at the top of the columns to make sure that I didn't miss any mandatory ones. So if you would, finish that up and let me know when you're done. Excellent. Looks like we're ready to move on. And again, make sure you put the notes in there just exactly the way I did earlier. And let's add some notes to the belt on here also. The serpentine belt is damaged. The tensioner is bouncing around, making noise. And the idler pulley is wobbling. New paragraph. One serpentine belt. 135 amp alternator. New line. One serpentine belt tensioner with smooth pulley. New paragraph. 2.3 hours estimated time. And I'm going to go down to the customers area. The pulley is wobbling. The tensioner is worn out. And the belt is severely glazed and should be replaced while it's apart. So if you would, finish yours up. Let me know when you're ready. Normally it takes about 3 minutes or so to do this. So let's move on now. What we want to do is mark the job finished on the tablet so we can proceed. And how we're going to do that is by using the following process. We're going to switch over to the work order. We're going to click on the Smart Chat bubble right above the % done. And then after we're finished, we're going to mark it complete. And so before we do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a live shop so I can show you what happens. And I'm going to take my tablet down out of the way so that you can see and kind of expand it a little bit bigger. And so now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you tap on the work order button on the tablet. I want you to find the inspection line on your tablet if you have one, or you can just grab whatever line just for our demo. And I want you to tap on that Smart Chat bubble. It's going to send a message to the service writer. If you notice, it just popped up right in the top area here. And I'd also like to point out to you that all the time that the vehicle is open on the technician's tablet and they're working on it, it's going to be expanded, and you're going to see a nice yellow clipboard on the lower left-hand corner. This lets the service writer know what the technician is doing at all times. So in this case now, it's on waiting for approval. And what I want to do is I want to hit the 100% complete because my inspection's done. So what this has done is it's submitted the inspection to the service writer where they can do their job, and it lets the technician continue working on their tablet. You'll also see on the today's vehicle page for the service writer, they can click on this link and they can go ahead and open up the actual repair order that we're working on. So I'm going to shrink the tablet down and get it out of the way a little bit, and I'm going to move forward. So where do we want to go from here? Well, what we want to do next is we want to go down and make sure that we have it in the estimate step so it's locked. So let's move back over to the live shop. And what I want to do is, while this is open already because we're actually reviewing it, I want to come over here on the top corner here and I want to move this to creating estimate and then click OK. So what this is going to be a lock step where the service writer can go ahead and work on it, add repair order labor lines to the management system, and not have to worry about them showing up on the technician's tablet where the technician starts working on it. You also see this black dot over here is filled in. That lets the service writer know that the technician is 100% done with that job. The next thing the service writer should do is look over the inspection, make sure it meets the shop seal of approval. So I'm going to look down here and see, are all the pictures where they belong? Do I have pictures here to work with? Do I have notes here that are appropriate and so on? And if they are, great. Now we can do something with it. If they're not, what I encourage you to do is click on this button here where it says Reassign Inspection and click OK and reassign it to the technician, which I'm not going to do right now. But if you do reassign it to the technician, I want you to come over here and tell the technician what you need to do your job. So in this case, I'm going to say I need tire tread depth. So we're going to just pretend this technician forgot about it. So when I go ahead and enter that chat message, what it's going to do is go to the technician. If they're at the tablet, they're going to see it's flashing. And if they're not at the tablet, they should hear an audible alert very shortly. And I'm just going to dismiss that for right now. So again, don't enable bad habits by anybody. Help them understand what's needed to do your job, and let's move on. You can collapse this back down when you're no longer using it. So at this point, what we want to do is start editing the picture. And so what we want to do now is move over here to where it says Note and Image Editor. And we want to tap on it. And now you've got this nice editor up here on the screen where you can work with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this minus sign and shrink it up a little bit. So this is going to make it smaller, this is going to make it bigger, and so on. And what I want to do is I want to come through here and I want to look at the pictures and see this count here. That's letting me know that there's notes on at least these number of topics. So what I want to do is I want to come through here and I want to look at these, maybe move over one and see, hey, the technician did a great job here. It's got the red arrow on it. It's enabled for the customer to see. I'm going to look at the notes here. Do they make sense for the customer? If they do, I'm going to approve it. If not, I may do a little bit of editing. And then I'm going to look at these other notes. And so these are the notes on the topic. So you can see this is the topic we're looking at. And then this is the note on the picture. So the note on the picture is good also. I'm going to press the over arrow over. And you can see that number is actually reduced. I'm going to look at the picture. I'm going to know my technician does pretty good with the arrows. So I'm going to move to the next one. And I'm going to say, great job. The arrow's in the right place. I'm going to leave it enabled. I'm going to go and approve the notes on it. I've already approved the one on the topic, so I'm good to go there. And then move over. And you know what? The technician's done a really great job here also. And again, this is how we get the technician and service writer to work together. I'm going to approve that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe crop around this to go ahead and tighten up on the shot just a little bit. So I'm going to crop that image. And you can follow along with me while you're doing this, but I'm going to give you some time to edit. And I might go ahead and add another circle around it to draw the customer's eyes to the area even closer. And again, you can come in here and play with the circles and arrows and change colors on them and rotate them or whatever you want to. But again, what I want you to do is just get used to using the tools. And then click apply. And then I'm going to move to the next picture. I'm going to look at the notes there, and I don't see an arrow, so I come over here. I see the arrows already here, pointing right directly to it. I'm going to read the notes. Got some good notes there. I'm going to press the over arrow. And now you can see it's just circling around. You see I've got no more pictures to edit, so I'm good to go. So in this case, I'm going to press close. And I'm finished here. If you're using the add-on tool at this point, you can click the work order update button and take the jobs and have them pushed back into your management system. Or you can go ahead and create the estimate and we can move on from there. So I'm going to leave this open here and see what's up next on our agenda while you spend just a few minutes editing the picture. And if you would, respond to the poll when you're finished editing. So where we're going to move to next is we're going to go to your technician view page and we're going to move it from estimate to the approval step. We're going to view the results and we're going to send it to the customer and then let the customer get it on their device. So let's go ahead and open a live shop. So here what I'm going to do is move it in the drop down to waiting for approval. I'm going to click OK. It's going to go ahead and open up this box to go ahead and give me the ability to preview the inspection results before I send them to the customer. Make sure they're all up to snuff. Any inspection that hasn't been sent by other means is going to show here. And if you're sending the work order results here, it will give you a snapshot of them. If you don't want to send something, if you got more than one inspection, just simply remove the checkbox and just press OK. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring up my phone over here when I press OK and see if we can't see the message come in. So now it's been sent off to the customer. So you can see that very quickly I've got a message in, and what I'm going to do is tap on the message, and I would like you to send your inspection results to yourself just the exact same way I just did. And I would like you to come over to the inspection results and tap on it and take a look at your handiwork and see how it would look in the eyes of the customer. So you can see there's your vehicle profile picture. You can see the information of your service writer as a technician. You can see that it's in good shape, failed shape, you know, all the things on here. Come down and actually tap on one of your pictures, let it expand on the screen, look and see the arrow pointing right directly to it, and make sure you can read the text and make sure that's what you can understand. So it's really important that you see the customer experience. So I'm going to close this out on my screen for right now. And I'm going to switch back over. And if you would, respond to the poll. Let me know that the inspection results have come to your device and you've looked it over and you're ready to move on. The next thing we want to do is move it over while it's in that position. Basically what we want to do is we want to observe what's going on. So on the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see a little information pop up here. When you send the inspection results to the customer, it's going to come to them with a message that reads similar to here. And when you send it to them, you're going to see a white circle fill out in the magnifying glass, and then you're going to start filling in with orange. And then when it reaches the 20-minute window, it's going to go ahead and pop up a phone on it. So the best practice is to get great quality content to the customer, let them look it over on their own time frame, and then be in a position where they're not pressured and they call the shop. On your today's vehicle page on the tile itself, you should see the orange phone when that 20 minutes has elapsed, and then right over the top of it, you're going to see a number count, and what that is the number of seconds that the customer has looked at the inspection results, and this is gold for the service writer to know how engaged that customer is when they go ahead and call the shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back over to a live shop and let's take a look and see if we can see this. So sure enough, on our little pop-up here, you can see that the phone is popped up because the time has elapsed. You can see the count here. If you hover over it, this tells how long the motorist has been researching the results. And if they haven't called the shop by 20 minutes, then give them a call. If they have called, then what I want you to do is get in the habit of clicking on this and then clicking OK, and then you'll remove it. So I want to talk about the other way around. Let's say the customer, you called them and they haven't answered the phone. So if you don't get a live human, here's going to be their phone number right here. If you don't reach a live human, press cancel. On the other hand, if you do call and you get a live human, when you talk to them, go ahead and press OK. And now you're going to see this will go away and you got a nice green check mark. So anytime after the waiting for approval step, you should go ahead and not see that orange phone on there any longer. You should have that nice green check mark. So your job at this point is to go ahead and, when the customer calls or you go over it with them, if you call them, is to get their approval. Anything that's not approved, move it off of the work order, get it in the future recommendation or in the deferred state, and then we're going to move on from there. The next step is to move it over for waiting for work finish. Very simple process. You're going to click on the wrench icon. You're going to move over here to where it says waiting for approval, move it over to waiting for work finished, and press OK. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a pop-up there verifying that the jobs that are on here are truly approved. So if you've added more jobs or subtracted jobs from the work order, let it update, and then you're here ready to go, and then you simply click apply. So if you would, respond to the poll and let me know that you've got to that state and you've moved it over to waiting for work finished. Next, we want to go ahead and move it over to waiting for pickup. So let's go ahead and open it up on a live shop. And I want to get the tablet back up here also. And I'm going to shrink it down so you can see what's going on. So all the time when the technician's working on it, you can see the clipboard open. And you can see the amount of jobs left open here. So what I'm going to do is on the tablet, I'm going to start marking my jobs 100% done. So I'm going to tap on the oil filter and lube, mark it 100% done. You're going to see the tile update on the screen. So the labor is going to go ahead and change. Then I'm going to mark the next job 100% done. You're going to see it update again. And now that all the jobs are done, you see that nice big green check mark letting you know this technician has nothing else to do on it. And you always want to look over here and make sure there isn't some job for some other technician to do that's assigned. So this just means this technician's jobs are all done. And now what I want to do is on the tablet, I want to submit this complete. So I'm going to come over here where the button says submit. I'm going to press OK to confirm. I'm going to say all work complete. I'm going to press OK. Depending on how your shop is set up, it may or may not ask you for the out mileage, and then it's gone off the tablet. And you can see the tile is collapsed again for the service writer. And the service writer knows that it's a finished tile because it's grayed out, and at that point you could go ahead and move it down to the bottom of the list because you don't really have anything else to do with it this time. And what I would like to do is expand this out and click on a wrench and go over this one more time. So here, the best practice is the service writer should look at this and make sure that every one of these labor lines has a black dot fully filled out. This is letting you know the technician has marked the jobs complete on their tablet, just like in the paper world where they used to put their initials next to every labor line, letting you know it was done and there was no changes. At this point in time, you can go ahead and click the work order update button, and in Protractor, all the technician times and work order assignments will be pushed back into the management system, and you're good to go. So I'm going to press OK here and move on to the next part. So if you would respond to the poll and let me know that you've moved it over to waiting for pickup. Look it over. Make sure all them circles are marked black. Press the work order update to go ahead, if you use a protractor, to send them assignments and punch times back into the management system. So let's get wrapped up here. So technicians, service advisors, they've sometimes gets an us against them attitude in the shop, and we really want to fix that. And a lot of the reasons why is technicians don't feel they're getting paid for inspections or enough for inspections if they do them. They do take some time to do properly. And the technicians really have to rely on the service writer to go ahead and get authorization from the customer. So by using the tools properly and working as a team, we can now get approvals in a whole ton of instances we couldn't before. So in the past, technicians might be pencil whipping or over recommending, hoping the service writer might, get approvals for a few of them. But going forward, what we want to know is the technicians and service writers working together as a team simply by documenting things properly on the tablet, giving the service advisor the tools they need with to estimate properly, and great educational content to send to the customer. Now we've created wins for everybody. Let the technician witness this at the counter and see how their pictures impress the customers and help them educate. And again, we want to control everything the customer sees. We don't want them to have to go anywhere else. If the customer is still calling the shop and asking for a lot of interpretation, then you need to go ahead and work on your inspection and editing process. I also want to make sure that everybody knows that the best way to communicate with their service advisors and technicians internally is by using the chat. So in this case, you can see the technician has created a chat saying the oil drain plug's stripped out. He's taken a picture right on that labor line. He's hit the Smart Chat bubble and sent it to the service writer. And then the service writer, they click on a link and it's popped up. It highlights the exact labor operation in yellow. So if you would, please respond to the poll and let me know that you know the most efficient way to communicate between the service writer and the technician. So going forward, we're not going to ask you to do anything that you can't measure, manage, and use as a motivational tool for your staff. And to do that, what I want to encourage you to do is periodically, maybe even on a daily basis as you get going, click on that hamburger menu, go down to where it says Reports, and open it up. When you open it up, you're going to see another page that has links on it that looks just like this. I'm going to encourage you to left-click on the Inspection Metrics Report. And when you do, you're going to come to a page like this. Let your digital trainer help you adjust the thresholds that are on the top right-hand corner here. Move over to the top here and define your day. So if you're looking this on what happened on a previous day, choose the last business day. Click on the button where it says Create an Update Report, and then come down and start dissecting the individual areas. So this is a lot of information about what went on in the inspections. All great information to work with. Anything highlighted in red is below your threshold. And here you can see that there's some more information here broken down by the technician. And then there'll be some information broken down by the service writer. So these are all things that are important for you to use as you're ramping up. Your digital trainer is going to use a different tool. It's called a business control panel, and they're going to use this to be able to help you understand and break things down in a high-powered way, all the way down to individual labor operations or service packages to see how effective you guys are at growing weekly sales, ARO, and so on. So if you would, please respond to the poll and let me know that you know at least that the report is there and that your trainer will be using the business control panel to work with you to identify 1 or 2 things per call to get your shop working and get the most bang for your buck out of whatever activity you're working on. So by now you should feel empowered to take this information back to your shop. Your job is to train today and then become the trainer to develop the staff in your shop. We want to go ahead and create happy employees, and you can see this guy smiling. That's all good. But that is the job of the implementer. The next step that you'll be doing is you'll be moving on to what's called impactful pictures. And this is a 30-minute webinar specifically designed to get you to work together as a team in your shop to make the most impactful customer information that helps the customer open their wallet and just call the shop and start talking about options and pricing. So if you would, please fill out the last poll, and let's move on. I'd also like to make sure that if you're not a member of the Digital Shop Talk forum, please go ahead and sign up and register. This is over 3,500 people just like you right now. When you're on your PC, there's a search box on the top left-hand side. Search in there for whatever topic you're looking for and find some great information by people just like you. If it's not in there, please feel free to post to how do I do this type questions, or maybe suggestions on future features. The only thing that we don't want on the forum is things that are what would be considered a trouble ticket. And to do that, what you're going to do is look for the help button on the top left-hand corner of your today's vehicle page, or on the work order pop-up, there's a help button there. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this to create a help ticket. And the reason why we want it done from the today's vehicle page or from the tablet is we're going to collect some freeze frame data just like you'd use when you're diagnosing a check engine light to reduce the frequency of calls back and forth between the shop and support to get to the root cause of the problem and get it fixed quickly and efficiently. So I'd like to thank you all for attending today. I'm going to put a list of links in the chat. I'd like you to go ahead and grab them, copy them, and bookmark them. They're going to be for how to use the smart markers, a link to the technician tablet training video, a link to the digital standard operating procedure, and a recording of this particular webinar so that you can use it to go back through again, press pause and play, or use it as a training tool for your staff. So once again, thank you. Have a great day. If I don't have any more questions coming in, I'll be ending the webinar in approximately 2 minutes.